but as far as my personal preferences, it's definitely a pass.
Yeah, honestly, it's mine too. And that's probably the end of our podcast. So thank you guys for listening. Uh,
Now it's time for the Change for Brains podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Change for Brain podcast, a podcast where two regular guys share their nickel and dime thoughts on a variety of different subjects. And at the end of the day, you just got to ask yourself, does any of it really make sense? All right, we are on episode number 6. This train just keeps on rolling. And this week we got a lot of news to get into. There was a ton of stuff that happened kind of over the weekend and yesterday being Monday. Trying to think of where to start because there's so much to cover. If you were a sports fan this weekend and you couldn't find something to watch, you're just way too picky. You had pro wrestling, you had MMA, you had boxing, you had baseball, you had football. NFL's out, but there was the XFL, at least one game on Sunday I know of. NBA, Final Four, you name it. So we're not going to cover everything because it would just take way too long, but we are going to cover a few of the things that we watched and kind of give our thoughts on it. I think we're going to start off with the Women's Championship, which was Friday night. And Chris, I believe you have some thoughts on that. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. So obviously, if you've been on the internet at all the last probably 2 or 3 days, obviously you've seen the Caitlyn and Angel Reese drama. It's pretty interesting. I initially on the as far as Reese and the taunting, a lot of people are saying she was classless and just taking it pretty extreme with her. The more I looked at it and I went back and looked at some of the stuff that Caitlyn did, I mean, she did some of the same things. I think the biggest difference to me on the whole taunting thing was obviously Caitlyn didn't follow anybody around, and it wasn't at the very end of the game either. Those are kind of the difference maker to me. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's sports. There's going to be, people are going to taunt, and it's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't think. Again, I think that maybe it was taken a little too far there at the end. But as far as to say that somebody's trashy and stuff like that, I think that's extreme and uncalled for, in my opinion.
Yeah. Dave Portnoy, he went a little extreme, but that's Dave. He does it on everything. The Patriots could kill somebody and he'd be like, no, they were right in doing this. If he supports that team, he goes 100% behind him. I don't know if I agree with what he said on this whole thing, though. What are your thoughts on what he said?
I'm trying to remember what his exact quotes were, to be honest with you. I know that I saw them, and again, his opinion as far as the difference in the two situations was, again, that one was kind of early in the game and was just a reaction, and then the other was at the very end of the game, and again, followed Caitlyn around and was a little more extreme. Right. I don't remember his exact quote right offhand. Do you happen to remember what he said?
He did, and I'll put it up on the screen as we're talking about it. He basically called her, and I'll quote it, a classless piece of trash, but he didn't use trash.
Yeah.
Piece of crap, I guess you could say. But try to keep it clean here. So, I don't know if I'd go that far. You also got to think, these are, they're still college kids. They're young, that adrenaline's pumping. Not saying what you did was right, but I don't know if you should call them names.
No, I agree. I think that was a bit too far.
But Shaq kind of came to her defense. I'm not agreeing with what Shaq said either, but David said, you're a piece of crap. And then Shaq said, your mom is. Just, and I'm guessing the reason why Shaq even got involved, because I think he went to LSU.
I saw Dave came back to that and just said, "Boom, roasted" with a question mark.
Yeah. Quoting the Ben Askren. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I didn't watch the game. You did, Ryan. It seemed like it was a pretty decent game.
It was a good game. There was a few moments there where Iowa looked like they actually could come back, and then because I think they had like and I'm not going to be exact in my points, but I think they had like almost a 12-0 run and kind of brought it back within like 10, somewhere in that range. And then LSU ended up kind of running away with it. But I will say there were and I've seen this all over the internet too, the refs were horrendous in that game. It was Caitlin like literally just kind of tossed the ball behind her back. I mean, it was nothing, and she was going over to talk to her teammate. It wasn't nothing to it at all, and they called a technical.
Yeah, I seen something on that, and one of the coaches like got on the court right by the ref, and they didn't call anything for it.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. I don't think that would have been the difference maker, obviously. So I mean, I'm not going to say that completely changed the game, but it was crazy, that technical that they called on Caitlin.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, a bunch of people are saying it was actually better than the men's final. Which,
to be honest, I just wasn't that interested in the men's matchup this year.
And I didn't really watch it. I kept up with clips and whatnot, but somebody posted on Twitter, and I don't know if this is true. There was 11 total minutes of that game where there was no scoring. I'm guessing it probably wasn't 11 straight minutes. I would hope not. That's half the first half or whatever it was. But yeah, that's a long game if that's the case. But speaking on that game just a little bit, UConn won. I think this is their 5th championship, and even though, I mean, I think they were only the 4th seed, but they're definitely not a big underdog team. So, I mean, I didn't think San Diego was going to take it. Neither one of our teams that we picked made it.
I was about to say that out of 4 possible choices and 2 people picking, we picked the two losers in our matchup. Pretty horrible.
We both picked underdogs, though. I mean, so
we did.
And the crazy thing would have been, and we didn't bring this up. I didn't think about it at the time, but we both picked Florida teams. It would have been a Florida championship because mine was Miami and yours was Florida Atlantic, which is, I forgot what town they're from, but yeah, that would have been interesting. But it would have been 2 Florida teams playing in Houston, so. But yeah. Anyways, UConn, congrats to them. Congrats to LSU. I think that Caitlin girl that you're talking about, I think she's going to be just fine. She still dropped, I think, 30 points that game. So, her. Go ahead.
I was going to say both of them, Caitlin and Angel Reese. I mean, honestly, both of them have got really bright futures ahead of them. I think they both have broke quite a few records. I think Caitlin was like points scored, I think, basically in the tournament. And I think Angel Reese was like maybe the most, I don't know if it was like triple doubles or a double double. I'm not really sure. She did something too. They both set some records. So
yeah, this is definitely not the last time we'll hear about them. That's for sure. So, all right, we're going to move on from basketball then. There, of course, was a bunch of NBA games. The Grizzly game kind of made me mad on Friday, but I already told you all about that, so I'm not going to go back into it. Baseball, opening day was it Thursday?
Yeah, and Thursday.
Opening weekend was throughout the weekend, a bunch of teams playing. Do you watch much baseball? I think you watch Braves, right? I don't watch it hardly at all.
I don't watch every game by any means. That's the thing. Baseball is just, the seasons are so long. Like I can't watch a game every day, a 3-hour game every day. The pitch clock is pretty interesting this year. It does shave about 20-25 minutes off of every game and speeds it up a little. I think that was a good move this year.
I did see There was one team, and I cannot remember who it is, but for their opening game, they did a flyover with a jet, and they shot off fireworks. There was only one problem. They had their roof closed.
Nice.
I think it was the Brewers. I'm not sure. If I find that video, I'll send it to you. But yeah, I don't know how much it costs to fly that jet over, but yeah, it's just kind of funny to me. Let's see. So what else happened this weekend? Oh, few boxing matches. The Gamebred promotions was kind of interesting. Did you hear about any of that?
A little bit. I don't know like match by match or anything, but I did read a little bit about it.
I can give you a quick rundown. Anthony Pettis beat Roy Jones Jr., but I mean that's a 54-year-old Roy Jones. Roy Jones Jr.
You just real quick on that. Did you see Pettis wants to box Silva?
I did see that.
Now, that's a pretty big change there.
It's kind of crazy because Pettis used to fight at 155 and 145 in MMA, and now he's walking around at like 200 pounds. So, I don't know. I still think Silva would be bigger, like he'd have a bigger frame. But, I don't know. I'm sure people would watch it.
I think it'd be interesting. I would hope that I think Silva would win that. I mean, I would be a little surprised if Pettis could beat the much bigger Silva, even though he is obviously getting older.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, if they want to put that fight together, yeah. I mean, like I said, people would watch. So you had that fight. You had Vitor Belfort is probably the TRT Belfort, or whatever they call him, against Jacare Souza, which I've never known Jacare to be a boxer anyways. He was always like a grappler to me. I guess technically Vitor was kind of a grappler too, but he also had some striking. And then the other major fight was who was? Oh, Jose Aldo versus that guy's name? Jeremy Stevens. And that was to a draw, which is kind of a surprise. I would think Jose would outbox him like easily.
Oh yeah, I would have thought so.
So there's that. Like I said, let's see what other ones were there. There was that Fight Circus, which is just a sideshow of an event with Rampage Jackson and Bob Sapp, and somehow they found a couple shirts that were big enough to sew together to fit those two men in. I mean, you're talking almost 500 pounds in one human being, or more than that probably. What do you think Bob Sapp weighs?
I'm going to say he would be more of like a super heavyweight, I would think. So I would think you're probably approaching the 300 range. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Rampage isn't probably approaching.
He's close to 300
so
now.
I bet Rampage is around that 300. So we're probably talking 600 pounds.
That's a big person. And I don't know if I could show a clip of that or not, but if you get a chance, just go on YouTube or somewhere, and Twitter maybe, and look it up. It's so outrageous. And then Anthony Joshua had a return fight. He finally had won one again. He had lost 2 in a row to what's the guy's name? Usyk or something like that. I don't follow boxing too much, but when it's a big fight, I'll check it out. So he kind of won, which we never got that fight between him and Tyson Fury, but after taking those 2 losses, I don't know if he'd even have a shot against Fury, if I'm being completely honest. And let's see. Well, let's get down to probably the biggest event of the weekend, which was WrestleMania. WWE had so many events over the weekend. Friday night, they had SmackDown, the Hall of Fame. On Saturday, they had NXT in the morning, Stand and Deliver, I think was the name of it. WrestleMania Night 1 on Saturday, which I thought was a really solid wrestling card. And then Sunday night 2, a lot of people thought that one wasn't as good, and a lot of people bummed out about the ending to that one. And what I mean by that is Roman Reigns won, which I put up a poll on our TikTok asking, was Roman winning the correct answer or the correct choice? And at first, there was a lot of Roman fans voting yes, and then in the last 24 hours, it's turned around, and there's about 100 more fans voting that he shouldn't have won. So I guess with that, let me ask you, what was your thoughts on WrestleMania nights 1 or 2? If you have any highlights you want to talk about, and definitely want to hear your thoughts on how you thought it all ended.
So I guess a couple matches. One, I was kind of pulling for Rhea Ripley in the Charlotte match, so I was pretty happy that they gave her the SmackDown title. So I think that was a pretty good move, and I think that was night 1, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Pretty sure that was night 1. And then obviously the ending to night 1 was pretty huge. I think that was one of the two things had to happen. I think either Sammy and Kevin had to win the tag titles, or Cody would have had to have won over Roman. I really wondered if they would take all titles away from the bloodline. So I kind of had a bad feeling after they won the tag titles that Cody was probably getting screwed over. Which is of course the way that ended up being. Night 2 was pretty lackluster for me. I guess I have to give props to Snoop for saving that segment. That was a pretty wild when Shane. I don't know if it was a knee or his quad. I think
his quad. He blew out his quad.
But yeah. So I wondered at the time if all that was improv, or if that. I wondered if it was a real injury, and it clearly was. Triple H came out and said that he didn't know too many wrestlers that could have actually done what Snoop did and just jumped in and basically just came up with his own plan to save that segment. So
yeah,
pretty good job there.
Yeah, from my understanding, I don't know how true it is, but Pat McAfee was saying that The Miz didn't even know that he was wrestling him on night 1. So both of those might have been. They might have told him we're going to do something, so be ready, but didn't tell him what was going on. I don't know if he knew about Shane or not, but you know what? I got to give The Miz props too, because if that's true, he rolled with the punches just as well, both figuratively, and literally, because Snoop punched him twice.
We'll say it probably wasn't the most impressive people's elbow or whatever that we probably ever seen.
No, and that's what I was telling you. You know, he's not the greatest wrestler of all time, but he's got so much experience in entertainment that he knows how to improv when you need to. You know, stuff happens at live shows, so you got to just know how to handle it. And yeah, he did pretty well, man.
So I guess the only other thing that I was going to say on it was obviously the main event, the big thing, obviously Cody and Roman. From night 2, I guess my concern here, and I'm thinking we talked about it, I think that was last week, about obviously Roman's approaching 1,000 days, which I think when I was looking at that, I think he's going to hit that in June.
Yeah, which he could drop it at SummerSlam or another pay-per-view, but to me it feels, if that happens, especially to Cody, it's going to be watered down. I
just don't know. I mean, obviously they can't keep the Cody feud going for 3 more months.
Yeah, and it looks like he may be feuding with Rock. You know,
that's what I'm thinking after Monday. So yeah, I don't know, and I just don't know who is left for Roman at this point.
Has he went against Bobby Lashley? I don't know if he has him yet or not, and he's probably faced Randy Orton. But if he has, it's been a while for that too. So that may be 2 options. But honestly, everybody thought it was going to be Cody's time. So, you know, I kind of understand, you know, trying to get him to the 1,000 so he has that in his record book. But, you know, unless they find a way to just spin it, I don't know. I don't think it'll be as glorious at any other pay-per-view. And after both Sammy and Cody lost, it's really, at this point, it's just like when someone else wins, it's going to be like, yay, you know. At least that's how I feel about it.
I could see that. I mean, both of those are the two that fans wanted to see. So anybody other than those two, and I don't really see how you can bring, especially if it's around SummerSlam, I don't see how you can bring them back. I don't know. I think they killed that for sure.
The only other person I could see, and not now, but 3 or 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, was Bray Wyatt. If they would have actually did something decent with his character instead of drawing out this like 8-month thing and then just him disappearing.
And I'm kind of thinking he's on the way out again.
Maybe.
I don't know that for sure, but
they said he was there in LA WrestleMania weekend, so I don't know.
I think they said that him and I think Bo was there also, so they were both around. I was kind of thinking there was a chance that maybe they would pop in and something happened, but nothing, unfortunately.
You know, good for those guys. You know, wrestling's going to go on. It's going to continue going on, you know, and they're going to do their own storylines. I kind of wondered if the whole them about to sell it may have been why they just kept it on Roman, not to make any major changes right before. But I would think that deal was done on like Friday, and they were just going to announce it the day after WrestleMania. And so I guess we'll get into that now. WWE UFC merger, or I guess they're both owned by the same company now, Endeavor. And they were talking like it's a $15 million merger. I don't know how much WWE sold for. And here's what's weird about that too is Endeavor doesn't own 100% of WWE. They own 51%, which means they control it. But 49% is still owned by WWE. And they're keeping Vince on as chairman. So, I don't know exactly how that works. You have any idea?
I'm not exactly sure either, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, when you said you thought they may have some crossover stuff, like you might see Dana here and there, wrestlers. You might see wrestlers at UFC events. I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see how this thing plays out too.
I think I definitely expect some UFC fighters and stuff to make WWE appearances. I would be very, very surprised if that doesn't happen. Kind of AEW kind of did that for a while there with American Top Team.
Yeah.
I think that's who it was. Obviously, like the Paige and all them. I think that's her camp.
Yeah, Paige and Austin, her husband, who's a Bellator fighter. And the head of, I forgot what his name is, but the head of the camp, he was there. A couple other guys.
But I kind of expect similar stuff probably with WWE. If I were guessing, I don't know. But I think being owned with the same company, I would be surprised if they don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Let's see. I think that's about it for the weekend, but it's sure, I mean, there was so much stuff going on. Like I said, if you can find something to watch on there, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you could find something on Hulu, Netflix, or any of the other streaming stuff. So, I don't think I'm going to talk any more sports. I think we're going to get into the movie segment of this week. But before I do, your movie line, I want to play a little game, and we're just going to kind of go through this. I'm going to call this Cash or Pass. I'm just going to name a bunch of TV shows throughout time. Some of them are still going, some of them aren't. And I want you to say cash as in they're good or excellent, or if they're okay and you kind of like them, we're just going to say pass, or you don't like them, obviously. You understand?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Here we go. All right, we're going to start off with something that seems to be a lot of people's favorites. Not really mine, but we're going to go with Friends.
Obviously, it's a popular show, but as far as my personal preferences, it's definitely a pass.
Yeah, honestly, it's mine too. And that's probably the end of our podcast. So thank you guys for listening. Uh, okay, 911. I'm going to include both 911 and 911 Lone Star.
They're not just absolute favorites, but they're cash. I would say cash on both of those. They're entertaining shows.
All right. How about let's see, Umbrella Academy.
Probably more neutral here, but I'm still gonna probably still go cash probably on that one.
Probably.
And I've actually only watched one season, so.
Big Bang Theory.
It's definitely a cash.
That was a good show. Californication.
Actually, I really like that show. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but it would also be a cash.
I already know the answer to this one, but we'll go ahead. Breaking Bad.
That one is probably my highest cash. So.
The Walking Dead.
It's a cash, but it started strong, and then it just kept dropping all the way to the end, in my opinion. Wasn't near as good at the end. It had some decent seasons towards the end, but it's just it's not that good to me towards the end. But overall, it's still a cash.
House of Cards.
I think this one may be a little surprising. I'm gonna say pass, but my reasoning obviously is everything going on with Spacey, and obviously a season without Spacey just really killed it, in my opinion. Obviously wasn't the same without him, so.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Cobra Kai.
Definitely cash.
Yeah, great show. How about Burn Notice?
It's cash. It was a good show.
Let's go with How I Met Your Mother.
Definitely cash.
Reacher.
So I think I only had one season. I thought it was pretty good, and I feel funny that I'm literally saying cash and everything, but it's also a cash.
That's all right. 2.5 Men.
That one I'm not as big on sitcoms, I think, as probably a lot of people are. So those have to be really, really special usually for me to like those. So I'm actually going to give this one a pass.
All right. This one is, I know this answer, The Office.
Definitely a cash.
American version, that is.
Yeah.
And then for the last one, I think I know the answer to this too, but The Rookie.
I would go cash. Another entertaining show. Not at the top of my list or anything, but it's definitely entertaining. I like it.
All right, good deal. Now, time for your Name That Movie line. And the line is, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
It's that Fast and the Furious.
It is. The first one. Way back in the day. Like 2001, I think. Which seems crazy to me.
A little depressing also.
Yes, yeah, I was trying not to bring that up because I was thinking I graduated the year after that. So, all right. Do you have a movie review you ready to do?
Yeah, and I think we're running a little low on time, but I don't have a super long review here anyway. So I went and watched Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves actually yesterday. So a couple things real quick on it before I go into my opinion. So 2 hours and 14-minute runtime. A couple other reviews or other places scores. Rotten Tomatoes 91%, Metacritic 72%, Empire 4 out of 5, and Google users are 95% on this one. So another one that's definitely popular. People seem to be enjoying it. As far as box office this weekend, Dungeons & Dragons did 38.5 million in the US and then 33 million internationally. So not just a huge weekend, but obviously not a bad weekend either. So as far as my opinions on the movie, so it definitely a lot of humor in this in the movie. Pretty funny throughout. And then another thing I'll mention, there is a you definitely want to hang around. There's a mid-credit scene on this one after, and it's kind of plays off of something that happens in the movie that's pretty funny and kind of carries over. So highly recommend definitely sticking around and at least watching. I think there's only one after credit, and again, it's a mid-credit, so you don't have to stay till the very end. But really, everybody in this movie, Chris Pine obviously really stood out. I don't know why I'm just absolutely drawing a blank. Michelle Rodriguez, I think, and then obviously that plays off of your Fast and the Furious, since that was a huge part for her. But she was really good in this movie. So overall, again, a lot action. It's steady. There's no, again, a little over 2 hour runtime. It definitely doesn't feel like it. I mean, it feels like you're in the theater for like an hour. I mean, it moves pretty quick. So highly entertaining. Probably give this one 70 cents out of $1.
Oh, okay. So about not quite mid, a little higher, not terrible, not like up there with John Wick, but worth a watch.
It is definitely worth a watch. One thing I'm kind of curious on this one, and I forgot to lead with this. So as far as Dungeons and Dragons and the game and everything, I have little knowledge at all when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I've played some games that I think were obviously inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, so obviously some of the concepts I'm familiar with from other games and stuff. But my actual knowledge of the game is pretty low. So some things may be lost on me, and with that being said, it's still a good movie, and I feel that I've obviously had a good understanding of everything going on. So I am kind of curious if anybody is watching and obviously is a big fan of the games and knows a lot more about them, kind of what your opinions are as far as how it crosses over with the movie, if they did a good job kind of incorporating some of the things from the games. So we'll definitely be curious to hear some of your opinions in the comments on that.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually surprised. All the reviews and stuff that have been coming out have been really positive about this movie. I think we had talked about it before. When it was announced, I didn't really have high hopes for it. I thought it was going to be kind of, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect it to be as good as everybody's saying it is. I think that is all we have for this week, unless you have something else you want to talk about.
That's it for me.
Unless you want to talk about like world peace or... No. Yeah, guys, I think that's it for this week. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit that bell if you want to know when a new episode is uploaded. Also, you can check us out on about any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all Change for Brains. You'll find us. Until next week, guys, we are cashing out. See ya.